What's going on, Illumineers, and welcome back into the Madhouse as we go and talk about, I think, 17 decks that won a playmat this past weekend. And again, we're seeing some really spicy lists. And what I want to reiterate to you guys is that running the copy pasta meta decks is a powerful thing. They're decks that are tried and true and have won. But what matters more is the pilot behind them. And it just, when you see these spicy lists, just know that they didn't pull that from anywhere. It was the pilot who ran it, who was comfortable with it, and more importantly, they had fun doing it. There's a lot of power in running something that people don't expect. How many times at the DLC did we saw Liam play Pleakley, and the opponent had to go and pick up the card and look at it? They didn't expect that. Now they have to respond to a 3/4 that gave them ink, and they weren't expecting to have to respond to that. Off meta holds a lot of power. So if you've been holding back, you're like, I need to run this Diggy Diggy Hole deck, I need to run this DKP burn deck, just play what you're comfortable with. That's ultimately what matters more than anything else. I promise you, if you play what you're comfortable with, you're going to do well. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have some great lists to look at, but before we look at the lists, I do want to remind everyone that we have the Safari Zone set 1K coming up. It is the first 1K that we're doing I believe it's the first 1K in Delaware, but this is the first 1K that we're doing at Safari Zone Collectibles, and it's only going to go up from here. It's a 100-person cap. We do have room for more though, so if we reach that, we could possibly go bigger. And that 1K is guaranteed, but at 32 people and at 64 people, we can start increasing that. So we have this 1K. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. We're going to do kind of like this. If you have the spiciest deck, things that I'm hosting for Meyer Madness at the tournament, and then I'm working on pods. Okay, I'm working on pods. Shout out to Southside Gaming for giving me that idea. But the Melee link is up. The link will be in the description. Check it out. If you guys are near Smyrna, Delaware, it's not a bad place. We have good food right next door as well. So I hope to see you all there. But let's jump into the list because that's what we're all here for. Here we go. So first up on our list, we have a really spicy Agro Amber Steel list, and I didn't want to share much more Diggy Diggy Hole, and I'll let you know now there is going to be one, but because they're a member of my Discord. But I did want to look at this list because this is spicy because there is a Hercules shift line, and the reason that he did this, so Big Games James, I believe, made day 2 top 32, I think, at Vegas or Seattle. And with Amber Steel as well, I think with the Boomy list, but I could be wrong. But this is an aggro list, but what he's opted to do is really go hard into Steel because he gets this 3/3 on, he has all these 3/3s that can sing songs, bodyguard to protect these cards. So maybe, he protects his daisies, protects his piglets from the Calhouns. And then if he manages to get this Hercules down, this shift 4, 6/3, resist +2, that's hard. Like there is nothing that Diggy Diggy Hole can do at that point to handle a Hercules. Like they have nothing. They would have to have 5 characters down and a strength of a raging fire. Their Calhoun is only doing 1 damage. Like Lawrence is only doing 2 damage. Like there is nothing. So he really went into this Hercules shift line to really beat up on Diggy Diggy Hole decks, and he did really beat up on Diggy Diggy Hole decks. He also has these Blues to help against red blue. So he teched into expecting a lot of red and expecting to see a lot of, Diggy Diggy Hole. These aggro decks already do well into red blue, so just adding the Blues even helps even more. And then of course we see our Sphins. You know how much I love Sphin. I think he's just an amazing character that lets you do so many broken things. Only 3 docks. Docks are great, but ultimately, a lot of time you win before you even need to see a dock. You get all these cards down, and then you start top decking, and then you've won at that point. So he recognized that, why do I need an extra dock? A lot of the times you'll see that people get stuck with 2 in hand anyways, so just cut that down. And then also opted to go for the shift line. Again, the Robin Hood shift line really beats up on Diggy Diggy Hole as well. It trades into their Pete's, it trades into their Calhouns. You can go, Robin Hood or Daisy on 1 into a Robin on 2 into a Robin Hood, and now your Daisy and Robin Hood trades into that trades into their Daisy. Like, so just lots of opportunities with this deck. I really like it. I love seeing the Hercules because you just don't see that shift line ever. So really neat. One thing to keep in mind, I believe this is 20 uninkables. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So only 16. Never mind. It's only 16 uninkables. So that's very manageable because a lot of times you just don't go up to a lot of ink anyways. So try it out, guys. See how you like it. Something different. It's not diggy diggy hole, okay? No mine package, which is fun to see. So good job. Good job, man. Really good job. Next up, we've got Phoenix, and he took first place with a Blurple list. And this is going to look really familiar because this is really reminiscent of the JDRR Blurple list. He's running the 3 Hades and the 2 Elsa. So 3 libraries as well. Only 3 friends, so he opted to not need that 4th. Didn't need the draw, but he did throw in the white roses, and that's really neat. The Blurple list, Blurple is already really good into red blue. It's really good into red blue, really good into red purple. But then you add in this, you add in the white rose, and the white rose just helping edge that along. It's another good 3-drop on 3. So because maybe you just maybe you don't see your ramp, so you want a 3-drop, and you don't feel like Fox is the right answer. Maybe not Crab, you'd rather save those. But White Rose is a really good answer. It gains you a lore, and it can just do, it's 3. It trades into Calhoun, it trades into Smeeze. It just does really neat things. So I like seeing that. That's a pretty cool addition there. The 2 bells really, the bell is just a really good tech card into Agro, into SteelSong, which SteelSong is a weaker matchup for this list. So I liked this. It's a pretty well-rounded list that has a lot of different options when you look at it. 3, 4, and 3 on the genies and rabbits. So really good job. I really like it, man, and I hope that next weekend, if you go out again, it goes well. So next up on our list, we have Robert Putnam running green purple, but I believe this is a copy pasta of Mo's deck, but it's not 100% because he changed up on us and had it a Flynn Rider instead of the Olaf. In Mo's list, he has the 131 Olaf. In this list for Robert, we have the 131 Flynn Rider. So he did not copy pasta. This is his own creation. But looking at it, he beat a Simba SteelSong 2-0, lost to Sizu on Ice 0-2, which is unfortunate because this list should do really well into red blue. I'd be curious kind of what happened. I'd imagine he didn't see, the 1-drops that he wanted to see, like the 1-on-1, the 2-on-2, that kind of idea. But then he beat Ruby Amethyst, and then so it was a smaller event, only 3, and then into Top Cut. He beat the Sizu on Ice that he lost to earlier, which feels really good, and then beat SteelSong that he beat earlier, which is impressive because this list is a little bit rougher into SteelSong. Green Purple notoriously, especially this aggro route, has a little bit of a harder time into SteelSong. So really good job. Fun fact, Mo will be on the channel tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to do an interview tomorrow, go over some gameplay, and then that will go live later this week. So if you guys do want to see and hear how a master would, we'll say green purple master, a world's qualifier wants to play green purple, make sure you check that out because he's going to critique me pretty hard because I did not do very good. But I did not do as good as Robert, actually. So Robert, really good job. Way to pilot this to success. If you guys have never tried green purple, this kind of really heavy 1-drop, check it out. It is a lot of fun. I promise you, it really is. And then on Inkables, 6, 10. Only 10 on Inkables. So that feels pretty good as well. All right, next up on the list, we have our first of, I believe, 4 Flower Farm members. So the Flower Farm really just blew up, really just taking off and just beating up on people on these set champs. And first off, we have GG's, so good game, GG, right? Going in with Purple Steel and doing really well. He had 4 rounds, so a little bit of a smaller event, but he lost to Red Blue, which he is on the dock package, so unfortunately when you run the dock package, you're hoping to do a little bit better into Red Blue, but when Red Blue has the answers, they have the answers, and that's just it. So you'd rather dodge them. On the draw, he did what he needed to do. He got the 1 win, so if this was best of 2, the better format, it would have gone a little bit differently, but he beat a yellow purple, I'd imagine hyper aggro, and then he beat red blue there, which is awesome. Beat the Diggy Diggy Hole deck, which that's the goal. You know, purple steel really beats up on Diggy Diggy Hole. And then he got his revenge. Attaboy. He got his revenge 2-1 against red blue, and then 2-1 against red purple. So this list just doing the purple steel stuff. You know, you're playing these 1-drops, you're playing, you know, you want a good line, right? 1-drop into 2-drop into 3-drop, you know, whether it's Rose or Crab or Pete, and then you play a dock and then you just start bouncing your docks, right? And then so you play a dock, your dock lives, then you play a fox. It trades into something, you get a dock back in your hand, you play the dock again next turn, you draw 2 more cards. So if you can chain those docks, it feels really good. And then you have the reach from the Rose, you have the reach from the goat. You get to a point where maybe you start bouncing goats with the fox or with the fox and the snake, and just start doing really nasty things. You are kind of this aggro list, so don't forget that. But at the same time, you are a tempo list. Like you're somewhere in between, but you're slowly but surely just beating them up with the best 2-drops in the game, like Calhoun and Smee, and then getting to 20 lore and winning yourself a mat like GG's did. So really good job. Next up, we've got, I'm going to butcher his name and he can yell at me later. I'm going to say Lof, something. So he's running red blue. Unfortunately, he's running red blue, but we'll forgive him. And he a smaller event as well, but he dominated. He just won the whole thing. Like, look at that. 2-0 against green purple, which is impressive. Again, green purple does really well into red blue, and then 2-0 against a red purple, which is the other really tough matchup for red blue. And then ruby steel, so red steel, which who knows what that was, and then draw, and then the same opponent, and then a aggro list on the play. So really good job. You know, he's running more, we'll call it the older version of red blue now. It has the shiny crabs and the lucky dime. He's only running 2 ice blocks and 2 Sizus, so that does feel a little bad. And, you know, a lot of time you see 3 and 3, and because that Sisu does so well into Diggy Diggy Hole, it's really setting up that Sisu shift line. But instead, he's opted to go with these 4 Maui Sharks, so he can start doing things like nasty things with the Vitalosphere and Maui Half Shark to bring back How Far All Goes and Visions, bring back Pirate's Life if you get to that point, if the game lasts that long, and just do really nasty things. So a good red-blue list. Again, I guess this is kind of the older version of red-blue now, but still a very good version of red-blue. And I say older, not that it's bad. It just plays differently than what we've seen in the last weekend. But really good job, man, and way to represent the Flower Farm family. So next up, we have another Flower Farm family. We'll call him Darian. He also goes by Prince Zuko from Avatar, running Blurple. So on this Blurple, he beat Diggy Diggy Hole, which is what you hope to do. It's a best of 2, better format. But did really well. It beat Diggy Diggy Hole twice, you know, because that's one of the nice things about Blurple is it does really well into Diggy Diggy Hole. You just have to see that 1-drop. You ramp on 2, and then you see your crab and fox, and the rest is history. But his list also runs the bells, which is also really good into those aggro lists. And then I really liked this. Him and his buddy just decided to play Pack Rush for the mat. So instead of playing a long, drawn-out game, they bought some packs, or maybe with their winnings, and they played Pack Rush to see who would get first, which I think is super cool and a lot of fun. If you guys have never played Pack Rush, definitely give it a try. It really is a lot of fun. But yeah, another Blurple list. This one, we've been experimenting with this 4 Hades, and I've got to admit, it feels really good. You do miss that big Elsa, that big questing power. The big Elsa is really good into aggro as well, but the big Hades, or the Hades in general, is just really good against red-blue and shuts down red-blue very well. So I've really been enjoying this, but yeah, so you've got the tech power with Bell, and then you've got the tech power against red blue. So Bell into aggro, Hades into red blue. So really good job, man. Next up, we have Lorcana, the sorcerer, and this is a member of one of my Discord, so I had to throw him out here. He messaged me and asked if, hey, I want a game, and it's Diggy Diggy Hole. I think this is The only difference here is he's running the 2 blues. So instead of running like the 5 drops or the Plutos, so the Plutos or the Kitas, he opted to just run the blues and took first place with his list. So really good job, man. I love seeing it. You've been a part of the Discord for a long while. So really happy that you're able to secure that mat and get that win. Not much more to say. It's diggy diggy hole. Nothing's really changed about how you're trying to play the game. You get the 1 drop down, the 2 drop. If they play a baby Sizu, then you play a mine and a happy to blow up the Sizu. Things like that. So just diggy diggy hole, doing really powerful things. The deck just does really well. So next up we have Schauser. He took second place with the Baja Blast list, and look at this. Look at all that purple. Like, he played purple all day. That is all he played. He ended up taking second, losing to a green purple list, but that EA tempo, but just doing the nasty Baja Blast things. And this deck is really kicking off. If you have not seen a lot of it, you need to look at these lists because it is getting more and more popular every weekend. It's just trying to, it doesn't even care if it misses its 1 drop. Like, a lot of time it might just hold on to Clarabelle, so they ink and pass, right? And then they play a Tipo or a Sail so they can get to 3, and then they're playing the Muses on turn 4. And then at that point, now they're just trying to sing, how far I'll go with Muses if you don't have anything down, and then they bounce something. They get into, their Scrooge McDucks or their Genies, and Genie has evasive. The John Silver's giving everything reckless. Mother Gotho's bouncing things. Peter Pan preventing you from gaining any lore unless you challenge Peter Pan. And then, of course, the thing we hate more than anything else, they refill their hand with the Shift Clarabelle, and then they get rid of your hand with Bend to My Will on the next turn. So a good list. It's also a cheaper list. This is actually, quote unquote, one of the more expensive blue-green lists. A lot of these lists come in at under $100. They come in at, anywhere between 60 and 90, I believe. So a cheaper list to run. And it is a good list. As long as you can survive, to that turn 5, you're generally going to be okay. You have to see Muses, though. If you don't see Muses, I'd imagine the blue-green decks that lose is because they don't see Muses a lot of the time. But really good list, just doing what it does. It returning cards to your hand, giving you reckless so you can't do anything. Meanwhile, they're getting ready to just force you to start top decking. So really good showing, really dominating as well with all these 2-0s, 2-1s, and then against purple. And purple is not a bad matchup for this deck either. So, or it's not an easy matchup, I should say. So really good job and really good showing. Good job, man. Next up, we have Nick Osterling and running a traditional SteelSong list and no Sonic Warriors, which is something that we're seeing a lot more of. More people are opting to play the Sonic Warrior instead of the Big Cindy, but he said, nope, I'm going old school. I'm running the Big Cindy. The other thing to note, only 2 Ursulas, which is interesting because he is running the 4 Zeuses and no Queens. So when you run the 2 Ursulas and 4 Zeuses, you really risk getting stuck on this 4-cost song that you can't do anything with. So that is an interesting choice and one that ultimately didn't matter too much. He still got first. Looking at his matchups, he had 3, 4, 5. So, not a small event by any means. He did intentionally, his red-blue matchups were luckily at the end of the day, so he intentionally drew, and then his buddy here gave him the mat because he already won his 1 championship mat, so he gave his buddy the championship mat, which is really cool. Really love seeing that, because this list is definitely not teched for red-blue. Only 1 Daisy, 2 Lilos, and the 2 Lilo doesn't do a whole lot into red-blue anyways. So really glad to see traditional SteelSong going and doing great things. Only 16 songs, something to be a little worrisome of. You're losing a lot of percentages running 16 versus 17. But ultimately, again, didn't matter. The 1 Gaston, the 2 Navines. So really like seeing traditional SteelSong go in. He did lose against the 1 Discard, which is a tough matchup. That game, if they high roll, they just win. And then if you both don't high roll, you have a really good opportunity. But if they just get the stuff, they get the stuff. And if you don't see wheel, you're in for a really rough match. So, but beating the stuff that he really wanted to beat, the red purple, the amethyst steel, the hyper aggro, beating it where it matters. So good job, man. Way to represent the traditional SteelSong community. Next up, we got Ben Clark, and he named this ketchup and mustard. It is a RubyFasa list, and one that is very different than what we normally see. RubyFasa has gone a different direction. They don't run as many of the uninkables anymore, and they've also, a lot of them have started to cut Mulan. So when we look at this list, 2 Plutos, so that Pluto just trying to really cheat out the Doc and the Gaston, because if you play Pluto on 1, they don't remove it, then you play Doc on 2, and then Doc on 2 allows you to get to go really crazy with stuff. I mean, if you can play a Gaston on turn 3, like that feels really good. Or sorry, Gaston on turn 2 or a Doc on turn 2, like that opens up a lot of opportunity, because Gaston on, if you play Pluto on 1 and then you tap him to play Gaston on 2, that means on your turn 3 you have 3 ink, and you can reduce things by 2 with Gaston. So you can play a Mufasa, you can play a Maui, you can play a Scar. Like, you can just really start doing a lot of nasty things. 5 ink also lets you start doing things like Mother Gothel and Julieta in the same turn. So really big opportunities. And this list, though, a lot higher on uninkables than we normally see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 uninkables, if I can count correctly. That's a lot for a RubyFasa list. If you can get your ramp down, you should be okay. But you can't mulligan much at all, because a lot of these uninkables are really high, and that really can hurt a lot. So I do like seeing the Scar here, though. That's pretty cool. I'd be curious how much of that card mattered. I still think, unfortunately, this Scar is pretty bad, but it does quest for 3. It does let you deal 2 damage to something, so that is pretty powerful as well. And of course, running the Mufasa, Rhea, and Judy Hopps package, which feels really good. The Lumieres to protect all your stuff from big Sizus, from brawls, things like that. So I really like it, and I'm glad that Lumiere also protects Daisy from baby Sisu, which is interesting. Anyways, moving on. Really like it. I love seeing these RubyFasa lists do really well. I think they're fun lists. I love the ramp idea. Reminds me of Hearthstone with green and how they ramp to get out big creatures. And yeah, just really good job, Ben. Really happy for you. So next up, we have a really cool spicy list. We've got Cole Ed taking first place with this blue-yellow list, and this is just really neat because you're just this hyper aggro thing. You're running my girl Tiana, which I absolutely love Tiana. You're running Pluto, so you can ramp. So you play Pluto on 1, you can tap to play, Alice on turn 2. You can get Tiana out on turn 2, and that's really powerful, getting Tiana. The earlier you can play Tiana, the better off she's going to be, because if you don't get her till turn like 6, she's kind of useless. Your opponent has the extra ink to answer her, but a turn 2 Tiana and then turn 3 exerting her, there's not a whole lot your opponent can do. Like, they have to be red. They have to be playing Brawl. Otherwise, you're kind of just won the game. Like, because you can go Tiana on 2, and then on turn 3, you still have a Pluto that you can exert, so you can go Alice. And then if you Alice, and oh my goodness, if you Alice, then you can start exerting your Alice, or questing with Alice to give Tiana ward. And like, what do you even do at that point? What do you do with a Tiana that has ward? Like, that's rough. And then you have Windy Darling that's questing for 2, Zipper questing for 2, giving resist to characters. Like, just a lot of nastiness with this deck. So I really like it. Even going Tiana on 2 into a Donald Duck bodyguard is just extremely broken. So I really like this list. The more I look at it, the more I just really like it. Cole, this is cool. I'd love to know your matchups if you do happen to see this video. This is one I found it, I think, just on Facebook. So but really good job. Really awesome deck. I love seeing these different decks just do really well. It just makes me really it really excites me to see people play something different and then do really well with it. So really good job. Next up, we've got Lorcana Rogue. And speaking of spicy lists, like look at this. This is a blue steel location deck. First, how many? We've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We've got 24 locations. We have Vault Door, which I had to look this up because I didn't know what it does. But your locations your locations and characters at locations gain resist +1. Your locations and characters at locations gain. So I think what it's saying is if any character that is at a location gains +1, and your locations gain resist +1. Wow, that I'll have to look it up again. I'll look it up again, but I had never seen it before. So I talked about off meta at the beginning. When you play a card that people don't expect, they don't know how to respond to it. And Vault Door, like, if you've never seen it, you may have been thinking, okay, I don't need to worry about that location because I can trade into it next turn. But then they play Vault Door, it gives things extra resist. If you put a John Silver or a Mr. Arrow on a location while you have Vault Door down, they get like Mr. Arrow gets resist +2 now, and your Calhoun gets resist +2. Your John Silver is on a location, they get resist +1, and then they get another resist +1 from Vault Door. So you look at this list, and it's just like, look at it. Just look at this list. You have the Alice, the 1/4 that gets support, or all your other characters gain support, and then when this character is above 10 attack, you gain +4 lore. So she quests for 5. So if you have something like the Great Illuminary here, where your characters get characters with support gain +1 lore. So essentially, you can put Alice down, and then you put characters on the Great Illuminary, and now they're questing for a lot more. So if you put an Alice on there, she's questing for 3. Your Mr. Arrow's questing for 3 because Alice is giving them all. Alice is giving them all support. And then if you have a whole bunch with support, they all quest for 3, and then they give it to Alice, and Alice quests for 5. Like you just don't expect it. Like I love this deck. I love the spiciness of it. I love 4 Fire the Cannons, 4 Smash, 3 Let the Storm Rage On, 1 Zeus. Like, that is just a big removal package as well. It's 66 cards and then $102. So just everything about this list is just so off the wall with 66 cards, 24 locations, a Vault Door. I freaking love it. So Lorcana Rogue, this is awesome. I'm so glad you were able to win a mat with this. This is one that, I think, yeah, just really cool. And I really hope that you had a lot of fun playing it as well. So really good job, man. All right, next up we've got Chase. And Chase might sound familiar because I talked about him a lot during the last set championships. This gentleman, he's a tried and true SteelSong player, and he went out and won his first mat this set with, again, SteelSong. And a couple things to note: running Grab Your Swords and running Bare Necessities, songs that you just don't see very often in SteelSong anymore. So they are, in my opinion, off meta. They're things that when I play another SteelSong player, I don't expect to see those cards. So I don't play around them because they're just not very popular anymore in this meta. So again, off meta, that probably caught people off guard. Running the 4 Pluto, so really liking that 5/5 bodyguard, so really going heavy into that. Running the 4 Ursulas and 3 Zeuses, so normally you see that kind of like a 4/4 package, but just guaranteeing getting those Ursulas down. And then the Robin Hood shift line with the 1 big Cindy. So really good job, man. I've been waiting to see you announce winning your mat, and I'm glad that you were able to get it. And I look forward to seeing how you do next weekend. Really good showing, and way to stick to the traditional SteelSong, man. So next up, we have another Flower Farm member. My video was almost done, and I realized I forgot to put his video here, or his name here. I can picture him. He has an amazing stellar beard that I'll never be able to grow because I'm in the military. And he has a great beard and a hat, and I cannot remember his name, and I am so sorry. Way to disrespect the Flower Farm. But he is running a purple steel list. He was able to go get his mat. And one of the big reasons, other than being a Flower Farm member and other than winning the mat, look at this matchup spread. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't expect to run into Blurple, you have another thing coming. Like, Blurple is getting really popular, and look at his matchups. Blurple, 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 Blurple. Like, oh, come on. Like, blue steel and then purple steel. He actually got lost on the draw against purple steel, so I'd be curious what happened there. But just so much Blurple. Like, the deck is powerful. You need, like, it's different, but it's powerful. So know and look at the list so you know what you might be running into. But he opted to run the Tinkerbell shift line. This is, again, another list that we're going to be talking about in my video with JDRR on purple steel. But just a 2-liner, which feels really good. And you get the shift line down. If you manage to get it down, you do the nasty 1-drop into 2-drop. You sing things with strength. You bounce Pete's. You bounce goats or rabbits. And you win. Like, so really good showing, man. I'm sorry I forgot to put your name here. But yeah, I saw this. I was about to do the video, and then I saw his matchup, and I saw his win. I was like, nope, I need to go back, and I need to add this. So really, really good job, man. And nope, we have this and another one. This is my buddy Vince over here in the Delmarva area. And, you know, I've shown him off a couple times now for different lists. He won his first mat, and then he goes off and he plays random nonsense. And this is what I consider this deck: random nonsense. He ran Jafar Wheel the day before this, and then he ran this list, and he just went in and said, I'm going old school, I'm going Jund. He brought back the Prince Erics, the Cuscos, 4 Tremaines, 3 B King Undisputeds. He had one goal with this list: to beat the crap out of red blue. And unfortunately, he missed red blue all day. He got to top 4 and lost to he lost to a red purple player. And whenever he plays against this red purple player, he always loses. Like, she always just sees everything. It's like some weird curse, but it just really awesome to see him go in. And I really respect what he does. He gets his one mat, and then he just goes and has fun. He doesn't go around trying to win all the mats in the world. He doesn't go around trying to drive an hour to locals he's never been to, drive 2 or 3 hours to locals he's never been to try and, you know, win a $30 card and a $100 mat. Like, he just goes out, has fun with his buddies, and does random stuff like Jafar Wheel, like this old school Jund list. And I won't spoil what he's going to do the last weekend, but he has some more spice for that as well. So yeah, just really cool. A lot of respect for Vince. Yeah, just awesome. Really good job, man. Really, really good job securing another Scar. So next up, Michael Matthews, and this is my list of spice, or for choice for the spiciest list for the day, because this thing is just, it was between this and the blue steel list, and I went this route because it's just everywhere. It just does so many different things. We've got the one cost Maleficence, which you don't see a lot anymore in green purple. We've got Enchantress, and I had to look this up. It's a 2-cost 1/1/2. While being challenged, this character gets +2. So if it answers whatever challenges into it, most likely, like Fox. We've got the Magic Carpet, which is a 1/3/3. And then the Diablo in here, and then we've got the Ring the Bell, which is something we saw in Green Steel the other day, where they were running Fire the Cannons with Ring the Bell. But here, he's running all these 1-drops, and then if they challenge the 1-drop, he can then use Ring the Bell on them to banish that damaged character. And then we see the 3 Hades, which is awesome. A stellar-looking foil card as well, where when one of your characters is banished, you gain 2 lore. He's also questing for 3. The 2 Gathering Knowledge, which is really cool. The 2 Tinkerbells, the 2 Crabs, like the Strike a Good Match. You draw 2 cards and then choose and discard a card. You can also sing it. So just trying to find things, right? So I just thought this list was, I just thought it was kind of cool. He had a game plan putting this together, and it worked out really well for him. And it's green purple, so I've always had a soft spot for green purple, even though I don't play it. But I just thought it was unique. I thought it was unique in what he was trying to do. He paired cards together that you just don't see paired together very often, and he was able to take first place with it. A lot like Lorcana Rogue. Again, if you just run what you guys are comfortable with, then you're going to have a good time, which is the most important part, and there's a good chance you just win. No one playing against green purple is going to expect you to play an enchantress on 2. No one's going to expect you to play a magic carpet. We've seen Hades, but not very often in green purple, so they probably won't expect that. And no one is going to expect you to play a ring the bell. So there's a lot of power in off meta lists. That's all I'm trying to say. There's a lot of power there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the video. That is the decks I'm highlighting for this week. Again, if you guys want to see your list in here, you can message me like a lot of people have, post it in my Discord or whatever it is. Tag me on Facebook. I don't care. Meyer Madness. That's all it is. And I love talking about your guys' lists. I love seeing all the crazy spiciness. I love seeing the creativity with your lists. Like, it really is awesome. So I'm gonna end. Yeah, we'll just end with it there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you enjoy the last weekend of Set Champs. If you're cheering for anyone for the Super Bowl, it better not be the Chiefs. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, stay happy and healthy. Till next time.